Hey, I'm Skip Slusher. We're going to talk about how to make the process of making a soft horse. So this guy came to us and he was very, very stiff. His front end was very muscled. His back end had very little muscle, which is the sign of a horse that's leaning into the bit and not getting released typically. And when we started out with a bit on him, he was really resistant. If you just even touched your right hand at all, he really got upset. And everything he did, his nose was out and he was resistant. So that's not soft. We've had him about 2 weeks, and this is part of the process of making him soft. And one thing you got to do is, be their friend. You got to have a relationship before you really get much progress. If you just come in and you represent work and causing anxiety and all of that kind of stuff, they're not in a place to learn. They've got to be relaxed and to be willing, and it doesn't happen if you have them uptight. So part of it is make sure that you get along and they like you and you don't represent just work to them. So first thing I do, and he's not very good at this, is I'm going to flex him, and I'd really rather his feet not move at this point, but I just want to flex his head back and forth. The way do you see this side? This is stiff. So if you notice, I'm giving little bounces to get his head. If I just pull, then we end up in this one-on-one war and he has something to push against. If I just twist or bounce, he willingly goes and follows the pressure because there's nothing for him to really lean against. Now this side he's getting stiff, you can see him moving his feet, but as soon as I start to wiggle my hands, he'll come through. So that bit where he moved his feet, he's thinking I'm going to pull and he's getting ready to brace. So if you just use these 3 fingers and give little bits of give and take, he knows, A, this is pretty soft, I'm not going to yank on him, and I've got his head. So horizontal flexion leads to lateral flexion leads to a softer body. So if he's put his head out and everything's done up here, his body's carrying too much tension. He's not going to be soft. So the next thing I do, I've got a little bit of this going. And this is, you're seeing this real. I mean, this is not a horse that knows this very well. He's just in the process of learning this. So now I'm going to bend his ribs with my inside leg. So I reach back a little, push on that rib. It starts his nose, then it's easier for me to get it. So again, inside leg slips back, I push the rib out of the way, and then I add my hand. And if I can get him in this little bend, that is softening his body. So as he bends his ribs out, this inside hind has to step forward and towards that outside front. Now the key to this is the rib. So if I just went to his face first, we're going to have a fight. So I get him started like here's the rib, the head starts. Now I can add the bend with my hand. And I'm very, this is all give and take. There's no hold it. There's like, watch my hand. It's like ask, release, ask, release. Release is the key to this whole process. Horses don't do things because you ask, they do things because they know you're going to release after you ask. So the ask is, if you do this thing, I'll release. If you don't add the release, they don't care what you're asking for. So that little bit of constant release through every step is important. And if you notice, each step is an ask and a release. Each step is its own ask, its own release. That is a really, really big deal. So there's no just back up button. And when he came, Virgil wouldn't back up. You could pull, you could do whatever, and you might, if you're lucky, if he was in a really good mood, you might get one step. So now we've done all this flexing and stuff. We've done more of this over the last 2 weeks. If I sit back, my weight ask first, and his body, I don't know if you could notice it, but it rocked back when I sat back. So my weight went backwards. He went back with me to catch me. Once he does that, he's prepped for a little ask and release, ask and release. Each step is its own ask and own release. So he's fighting my hands a little bit, so I'm gonna give a little quicker. Now that wasn't a straight back up, obviously, but he went probably 10 steps. So we'll do it from the side so you can see. Rock my hips back, he starts back, and now I use that momentum of him starting. It's easier, his feet are already, he already wants to move his feet. Each step is its own ask and release, ask and release. Now, if I don't jiggle, when he does get a little stiff like that, I got to add that jiggle back in. Get him started, ask for the nose. There. And I don't know if you can tell, but he feels like he's getting softer through this. So that's working on both the pole and breaking at the pole and back here, starting to roll under, starting to come back over his hocks and using this for impulsion. When we started, all the impulsion was from the front end. He just bent up forward and just shoved himself back with his front. What we want is him to pull himself with his hind, his head to just drop. I don't want to have to touch his head to back up. I want him to round himself and do it on his own. But to get that started, I've got to add a little hand because of the way, and he's just turned 4. So part of this is he's had enough time to develop some opinions that might not be the most helpful, best opinions. So now we have him starting to use his body. He's getting impulsion from the back. None of this is perfect. This is just the beginning of how we do this. So there's no perfection yet. We're in the process. And that's really important. A lot of people just go, we're going to back up. And they just pull the reins to backup position and they wait. And now the horse is fighting it with his head. He's tipping his head all over. He's on his front because he's resisting you. He's leaning into your hands. Well, that puts his weight forward. Now he can only push off his back feet. So really important that you start slipping back. Slip back first. He didn't really move. I'm going to add a little leg to get him to move his feet. Slip back. There's the nose. And again, each step is its own ask and own release. Now, I'm going to carry that a little further. Now that he's learned to kind of shape his body, soften his face a little, and again, none of this is perfect yet, I'm going to ask him to come back. And now I'm going to just leave my hips in backup position, add a little calf, and we're going to get a little bit of shape here. And I don't know if you can see, but I correct and give back. So there's a lot of slack in the rein as he's doing this. I'm not holding his head in place. He's finding that as he travels in this position, it's actually a little bit easier to use those big muscles in the back versus pulling himself. He's finding that this is a more comfortable, easier way to travel. And again, it's because I'm not cranking him in. I mean, you can see how much float there is in that rein. And I'll ask a little bit, and then I'll let him go. And he can find where he wants to be. Now his head's dropping because he's engaging back here. So if he were inverted, his head high, his tail high, his head would not be, it would be up here. So it's coming down because he's carrying himself in a little bit of balance. So that is the start of getting a soft, willing horse. Now from here, we'll add, better stops, we'll improve the backup, but he's learning to carry himself in this sort of balanced position. And you can see how upset he is. He's really freaked out. You awake, buddy? But he's this is a actually pretty smart horse, very willing horse. He just had been given things to fight against, and that creates friction. And you want to avoid friction at all costs. So that's the start of how we start building soft horses, is entire body relaxes. They carry themselves in a proper alignment, proper balance. They use the hind end for impulsion. They're willing and soft in the face. You can guide them wherever you want. That's the goal. So anyway, if this made any sense at all, please subscribe.